Hi everyone, it's Sarah here. Today I'm going to be sharing a look into how I'm creating a couple of pages for my Life Crafted album using the Love Stories kit. You can see right there I already have an entry from using the Fresh Starts kit from January, and so I'm just going to be adding to my album and completing some pages for January. So I've been using my album for kind of to act as a personal album. I think this is a perfect size to tell these kind of smaller stories. I don't know if I would necessarily be able to fit my project life and all of those story details into a small album like this, but it works out great just for kind of a personal entry every month. So far I'm kind of telling stories of monthly highlights and things that I'm loving right now and just some personal development kind of stories. So I've already printed out all of my journaling that I'm planning to use, along with some small square photos. I've printed directly onto a 3x4 journaling card, so I've kind of already gone through the kit and looked at some of the bits and pieces to get an idea of what I want to do. And I'm planning to use one of the 4x8 pocket pages, and then I'm going to be doing a couple of things outside of the pockets, and I'll also be using a 3x8 pocket page that has the two 3x4 slots in it. So I'm just pulling out some of the pieces so you can see. Of course, you already know kind of what comes in this kit, but I'm just going to look through to see what kind of patterns I have here and what I can kind of bring in. I'll definitely be using some of the 6x8 papers and some of the puffy hearts. I already selected some of the journaling cards. I'll be using some of the ephemera pieces, the die cuts, along with those acetate shapes, which are gorgeous. And just some other bits and pieces. I really love the large tag that came in the kit. That would be perfect to add into your album since it's a great size to kind of just fit in there as an addition. I won't be using it for today's video, but I will be hanging on to it and most likely adding it somewhere in my album later on. So this is just kind of a look at all the bits and pieces in the kit and kind of what I've started already. And now we can kind of go ahead and jump into the process. So I'm going to start by working on my page that is 4¼ by 8¼ and that is what's going to go inside my pocket page. So I've already kind of laid this out in Photoshop and I made sure that I had enough room for these 2x2 photos next to my journaling. So I just did that in Photoshop. I kind of dragged a placeholder photo into Photoshop and then I typed out my journaling. I took away the photos, printed out the journaling so I would have those sort of empty spots there, and then I printed out my photos later. You could obviously print your photos directly onto your cardstock, but I really like kind of having that glossy look to the photos, so that's why I print them out separately. And then I also love that I can add some pattern paper behind them just to add a little pop of color. So I'm going through my 6x8 papers here and trying to figure out what pattern paper I want to back these. I end up going with this dark blue pattern with the different arrows, and I'm just going to adhere them all onto this one sheet of 6x8 paper, and then I'm going to cut them apart and add them onto my page. I didn't have room to layer a lot of colors behind my photos, but I think keeping it simple just really helps to have these pages come together really quick, which is great when you're working on kind of a side project like this. It's awesome when you can have just a quick go-to method, and keeping things simple definitely does that for me. So I decided that I wanted to have one of these photo papers be a little bit different. So I ended up taking the middle one and backing it with a different pattern paper. And I like that sort of variation between the photos. I don't have a lot of room to embellish on the top and bottom of this page, but I am going to go through my ephemera pack and pick out a few pieces that I want to add on there. I'll also take a couple of puffy hearts and put them around my photos, and I'm just looking for some sentiments. This was kind of, the journaling on this page was kind of an encouragement to myself, and looking forward into the new year and kind of what I'm looking forward to and what I've learned from the last 6 or so months. And part of that is to not be so hard on myself. And so it was kind of a note of encouragement to myself. And I thought a lot of the sentiments from this kit were perfect for that. So I'm going to be adding in some of those encouraging words and not only onto this page, but for the entire entry that I'm working on today. I love how that arrow kind of points down into the photos, and then I'm finishing off the page kind of with that little tag at the bottom there, adding a couple of those puffy hearts. And then, of course, tiny attacher staples. I feel like it's kind of the perfect embellishment to finish off a page. And then I'm going to go in with some other pattern papers. I really wanted to use this sentiment that says be gentle with yourself. That's kind of what my entire journaling page was all about. So I'm going with this lighter pattern paper with the circles. I love all of the pattern papers that Citrus Twist offers every month. I think they're great patterns and really fun colors. And I love that there was an option of kind of a less busy background here. So there were some really bright patterns, but then there was this really sort of neutral color as well. And I thought that worked great with the other side. I was trying to figure out if I could kind of add this sentiment with the tag. I really like that tag as well, but I'm going to add it to the other side later on. But I decided to just go with this be gentle with yourself little sentiment, and then I'm using my Crop-A-Dile to hole punch these. I do have a 6-hole punch, but this bag is a little bit too thick to use it on, so I'm just going in with my Crop-A-Dile and kind of punching holes after each layer is added on. I really love these butterflies, so I'm going to add a couple of those as well. Of course, everything in the kit works so well together because that's the point of a kit, so you don't have to worry about kind of color matching. You can just use whatever bits and pieces look good and kind of know that they're going to work well together. So I'm going to use this dark blue paper on the back of my bag. By the way, this bag that I'm using is one that I had in my stash. I believe I got it at a craft supply store. I got it for like treat bags for, cookies or something, but I ended up using it more for just crafting. But you can get these bags anywhere, or you can use some packaging that you have, pretty much anything that's going to fit the size of your album. This was kind of just a fun size to add in, and I'm going to be using it as a pocket for some journaling. So I typed up a title for this little card. It says January highlights, and I'm going to be writing those in since January is not yet over when I'm filming this, so I still want to be able to add some of those things in later on. So I went ahead and just typed up that title, and I'm trying to make this into a little tab. So I was trying to use one of the tabs from the kit as a template, which did not work out very well. You're going to see that looks really awkward. So I'm going to go in here and kind of manually do it. It wasn't perfect, but it worked good enough that I was able to have that January highlights kind of peek out from the top. And I don't know, I probably won't go back and redo this even though it's not perfect. I think it's really just, it's good enough. So I will probably leave it as it is. I thought about maybe backing it, but I think it's pretty good. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And then I will go in and add a photo in a little bit. So, one of my highlights was spending time with some of my good friends in early January. So, I wanted to add a photo. That's not the only thing that I'm going to add onto this highlights. I want to have kind of a bulleted list of all the highlights of the month, but I think having a couple of photos that correspond to those bullet points will be really fun. So, I might add a couple more photos onto the back as well, maybe a little bit smaller, but I'm going to go with this for now, just on the front page. And then, like I said, I will add in my journaling later on once we get a little bit closer to the end of the month. I'm going through my acetate shapes now and kind of choosing what I want to add on here. I really love this sentiment here. So I couldn't get my tiny attacher staple. I wanted to kind of have those staples horizontal, but that didn't work out. So I'm going to go ahead and add them in just a little bit slanted there, but that's okay. I really love how those interactive elements just add so much to a page. It makes it so much more fun to flip through, which is one of the things that I love about these smaller albums. So I went ahead and added that tag onto the back of my bag there, and I added a puffy heart sticker. I'm trimming down this 2.5-inch photo, which I just love, this photo of me with my daughter, and I'm going to add it onto that 3x4 journaling card that had a spot for a photo, and add another die cut there. And that is it. That is going to finish off my page pretty much. I'm going to add these pages into my album and do another flip through for you so you can see how it looks all together, but keeping it super simple, just adding embellishments here and there, thinking outside of the pocket page to make it a little bit more interesting. And really, you can use what you have and just have fun with it. That is what's so great about these mini books, is you can just think of so many different ways to kind of bring in pages and use packaging and tags, and it can be really fun. So here is how it looks with the pages that I had already created in here using the Fresh Starts kit. With this bag in here, the paper bag, the sides kind of pull apart a little bit, which I'm going to show you. That doesn't bother me, but if it does, you can definitely add some glue dots or a little bit of adhesive there, and then you don't have to worry about that kind of coming apart. So you can see it just kind of pulls apart a little bit, but no big deal. So that will do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lot of fun working with your kit this month, and I will see you again very soon. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye!